Hey everyone, your host Nick here, and you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. First, I want to remind you that we are a fully independent podcast, quite literally just a group of friends who have met once a week since 2008 to talk about video games. If you like our show, the best thing you can do for us is be active in our community. I recommend Discord. You can subscribe to our show, leave us a review on your preferred podcast service, or, if you're so inclined, bless us with your patronage on Patreon or Twitch. If you're new, all you need to know is this. We record these shows live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central on Twitch, and the audio version launches on all podcast services on Friday morning. Patreon and Twitch supporters will even get the show a day early on Thursdays. But if you want to know more about any of this, about what we do, or find all the important links you need, simply visit us at 4playernetwork.com. And that's it. This is the only ad you'll ever hear on this show. So, with that said, thank you for listening. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 790... Are we on 99 or 98?
799, baby.
You wrote 98 on the Twitch feed, just so you're aware. You fucked up.
Okay, then it didn't update.
799, guys. Welcome to episode 799. It is June... Hold on.
18th.
18th, 2024. I know what I'm doing.
This podcast is going really well already.
I'm a professional. I'm tired tonight, so I apologize for any future mistakes that I'm inevitably going to make. I'm your host, Nick Henderson, and I'm joined tonight by Brad Simons.
What's up? What
Nolan
up? Woo!
Nolan Hedstrom.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Davis.
Good evening.
And we just had a lovely trailer talk before we hit record here. If you weren't aware, we've been recording group trailer talks live on the stream at 8 p.m. on twitch.tv/4playerpodcast every Tuesday night before we record. So if you weren't aware, you should come hang out while we do that. It's fun. We watched a bunch of cool trailers, some of which we're going to talk about on this podcast, this very podcast tonight, because you know what? We had a Nintendo Direct today. We all kind of knew it was coming, right? We knew that Nintendo has been known to do this from time to time.
It was definitely like, not only was it like heavily rumored or even /leaked, but obviously Nintendo was going to do something during, June or whatever, because I mean,
right.
Everybody sort of does. And it was nice to get it before the end of June, because I feel like last year was like this too, but the summer Nintendo thing was like sort of the last one of like, all right, I'm definitely going to save my money till I see Nintendo. I feel like a lot of people saved their money last year till Nintendo and this year as well. And man, this year there's some stuff to spend money on, and I have almost none of it. So
and we're referring to Fantasy Critic.
Fantasy
Critic, right?
I got real life money to spend on these games. I just don't have fake money to spend on these games.
Right. Which I feel like it's been a couple of weeks since we've had a chance to really kind of give a thorough update on Fantasy Critic. So we'll revisit that a little bit later in the show. But yeah,
it might be better to do that
Nintendo Direct
next week. Honestly,
yes, next week will be a big one. But yeah, Nintendo Direct today, which was great. And we got, good news, bad news situation, guys. We got a new Zelda announced. We got a new.
There's some bad news stuff. Let's save the bad news because
no. I mean, let's just rip the Band-Aid off, shall we? Like, no Silk Song. No Silk Song today. So, and Robin recently played Hollow Knight for the first time, and she's finally like on the train. She's like, I'm ready for Silk Song, and I've been trying to like explain. It's like welcome to our world. We've been waiting. Everyone's been waiting for this, and it's just like every year it's like, this is it. This is the show. And today was her first time where she got to go. Did they show Silk Song? And I said no. And she's like, what? All in her own.
Yeah, after it didn't show up at Xbox, I was like, they gotta show it here, right? And now it's like, who knows when it's gonna happen? I'm starting to get discouraged, but let's be clear here. I'm not like these clown makeup people that think it's vaporware that's never coming out.
No, of course
not. My bummer is more from it being my number one draft pick for Fantasy Critic. I really need that game to come out if I want to have a chance. But if it doesn't actually come out this year in terms of like playing games, I don't mind because
It's
there's
fine,
plenty of
yeah.
stuff coming out. There's like big games coming out from everyone,
Understatement,
really.
yeah. Understatement of the year. Just real quick while we're on the topic of Silksong, right? You remember a few weeks ago we were talking about how I was like, I have a picture on my phone from the last E3 that ever have existed, where there was someone in front of me at the Nintendo booth playing Silksong, right? And I was reminded that that's because Silksong started as DLC for Hollow Knight. I completely forgot about that aspect of it. It eventually morphed into its own full game. So what they were actually demoing at E3 was
The crazy
the
part
DLC.
is Team Cherry released significant DLC post Hollow Knight launch. Within that time, this is a studio that can make and put out lots of content. Like those DLCs were pretty big deals. And I think that was E3 2019 where they had a playable version of Silksong just 2 years after Hollow Knight came out and 3 different DLCs. So it's for it to be this long and they're still not even, and they showed trailers. I mean, we know this game exists. It's just what the fuck? It really is. I think they know that they have to live up to the original, and that's no easy fucking feat for 3 people.
I do feel like when we eventually get Silksong and we're playing it and we're talking about it, it's going to be more apparent. It's going to be obvious why. Oh, that's why this took so damn long to make.
You say that, but what I think it's going to be is it's oh yeah, Hollow Knight, one of the best games ever. Of course, the sequel to that is just as special because you only need to play Hollow Knight a little bit to know it's crazy. There's another thing missing here that I was kind of bummed about. This one I didn't have as high expectations, but there's been enough buzz around it existing that I was kind of hoping to see it, and that was something update on the Final Fantasy Tactics remaster / remake, whatever. Obviously, that's a big one for me. I want that more than anything.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy IX remake for me too. Yeah.
Also, there's been a long rumored Fire Emblem remake of Genealogy of the Holy War, and another one series I like, and I would love a remake of that one. The last remake they did was really good, and I don't know. I half expected to see that here because there's been long rumors of Nintendo holding projects, and I feel like they're holding them. They were holding them for this time period before the launch of a Switch 2, where they just need to put out games that aren't graphical powerhouses, right? And which is probably why we're seeing a 2D Zelda and a Mario and Luigi game, right?
Are we calling that a 2D Zelda?
So 2D Zelda,
Top down.
Is it
top down? Yeah, I mean old school Zelda, 2D Zelda, yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
isometric
Ocarina
Zelda
was 3D. Well, it doesn't. Whatever. The thing is, when Ocarina came out and it was 3D Zelda, you just sort of called the other ones before that 2D Zeldas. So yeah, I mean,
but there was only 2D Zeldas before that.
I know, that's what I'm saying. And this is a pre Ocarina of Time Zelda in terms of perspective and scope.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue. I'm not gonna fight
arguing with me for
because I don't think it's 2D. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, not literally sprites. Isometric. Yes, isometric is what I'm referring to, Nick. Like A Link Between Worlds, A Link to the Past,
Or we can call it the remake of Link's Awakening, which
was also a 2D Zelda.
No, I would never call that a 2D Zelda. Whatever.
So
that's neither here nor there.
Are we actually going to talk about Nintendo now, or are we going to do
impressions first? We're talking about
fuck
it, right?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I just needed to get the overlay going. So.
Oh, sorry.
I got
Show
a list
the overlay.
Here. We'll skip over stuff that Nick doesn't care about. But Mario and Luigi Brothership was their opening.
I care about that.
Strong opening.
It was a very strong opening.
Very good
it's a
looking
surprise,
Mario
really.
and Luigi. It was a surprise because
that's when I knew Nintendo.
Yeah, we knew about a lot of things.
I mean, we knew this Nintendo Direct was going to be about 40 minutes prior, and they opened with that, and I was like, "Oh, this is when I realized that Nintendo is bringing their A game today because they announced it and closed with a November release date on a new Mario and Luigi game, and
Zelda was just didn't even end it, right? It was just in the middle. That was a sign that at that point I knew that they either had Metroid or Silksong, and it was Metroid, but. This looks really good. It's been a long time since we've had a big new entry in this series, and those are really cool games. And this one looks like a very good one of those. I don't know who's developing it. I'm actually curious now. We should look into that. But
so we talked about this a little bit during trailer talk. So remind me. So the studio that made the previous ones is no longer around.
Yeah. They what were they called? New. I don't know.
This is the studio that made like Bowser's Inside Story, or
yeah. So since Superstar, or so Alpha Dream. So
okay.
so this is the series I started with Superstar Saga on the GBA, and it was sort of like if Mario, so like Paper Mario kind of went one direction, and Mario and Luigi games kind of like carried on the spirit of like maybe traditional Mario RPG. Like this is more of a kind of explore the world kind of game, while Paper Mario kind of became like a gimmicky set PC kind of thing from act to act. It evolved into like non-RPG. These games definitely stayed RPGs. So yeah,
although this definitely has RPG
traditional
combat in it, right? But
yeah.
It seemed more like free, like more like. It
but
seems like
see,
it had a
all
nice
the Mario
blend
and
of
Luigi games like build like these platforming mechanics where Mario and Luigi are kind of like jumping on each other and off each other. That's always been a staple to the series, where they kind of work that platforming into the way you explore the world and the maps. But it is very much like a kind of a traditional JRPG of like going to places and towns and that sort of thing. And
it looks cool. You're on a pirate ship and you're going from island to island. That was cool.
It's cool. It is cool.
Yeah, I'm into it.
It looks good. It was unexpected because even like the 2D Zelda game got kind of leaked, or it's been rumored.
Stop it! I know you're trying to poke at me.
Nick,
Stop calling it that.
Listen, you motherfucker. As someone's been calling it that since the mid '90s, it's just what people call it. Go on Fantasy Critic. I bet
people are wrong.
No, before this game was announced, there was a rumored unannounced 2D Zelda game. That's what they called it.
That's
2D Zelda game. That's what they call pre
false,
Ocarina of Time style Zelda
false.
games. They call them 2D Zelda games.
So dumb.
I'm sorry. That's just what
I feel like it's just like unintentionally like it's like looking down upon like their lesser Zelda games or something. I don't know. It's weird. It feels condescending.
Design. They're old school design.
Condescending.
Same thing with like 2D Mario.
I
right?
wouldn't say that, Nick. I would say it all has to do with like the camera. The fact that you have free control of the camera in a 3D space in Breath of the Wild versus this game where you don't. You can't control the camera at all. You just kind of move around a 2D plane to an extent. Yes, you might be going up and down, but you're not like, that's my thought on it.
What do you think they called Mario Wonder? The ones that looked like the Mario games before Mario 64, they call
the one where you're running left to right on our 2D plane? A 2D Mario game.
But you understand, isometric is just, it's still the plane. You're still locked to a plane. It's just from the top view. I'm telling you, that's what people call it, Nick. We're wasting time, but you're wrong.
I'm here to waste time. That's what I that's what I do.
Yeah, it's just
It's definitely what the host of a podcast should be doing.
Yep. I'm feeling like I woke up this morning and chose violence.
What do y'all think about Nintendo World Championships NES Edition? Any interest in that? I mean, it seems kind of cool.
It's not for me, but it's cool that it exists.
Collection of these old NES games designed for like kind of modern speedrunning and stuff. Looks cool. Let's see. The Fantasian finally got a port off of Apple Arcade.
Yeah.
That was that really cool like mobile RPG, right? Like it was only available on like phone.
Yeah, it was
only available on Apple.
On Apple
Arcade,
phones, but it had
so,
that
like
really
you had
cool,
to have
like,
a sub.
style.
Well, I mean, art styles, whatever. It was a traditional JRPG from Sakaguchi, right? That was the thing.
Yeah,
right.
And like Uematsu did the soundtrack, and it was stuck on Apple Arcade, and it had a cool mechanic where you can like twist the aiming. You can like aim enemies like shooting at enemies in battle and stuff. But anyways, it was stuck on Apple Arcade for a long time, and people were kind of excited. People have been kind of begging for this to be put on Switch for quite a while now, and they finally announced it, and that's kind of cool. People seem to sort of like it. Some sports stuff.
Also,
I would say that the next big thing is.
I want to mention about Fantasian real quick. Is that this is actually being published by Square Enix? So that's kind of interesting.
Did they not publish the original?
No, they didn't. Sakaguchi has not been involved in a Square Enix has not been involved in a Sakaguchi project since before Lost Odyssey.
Interesting.
Not anymore.
Final Fantasy. What was the last Sakaguchi thing? Final Fantasy 9 that he was even remotely involved in. When did he leave?
At Square?
Yeah, I think he left after 9.
Yeah, he left after 9.
Donkey Kong Country Returns HD was announced, which I believe is relevant to at least Fantasy Critic, because Chris Davis had a Donkey. What was the thing you actually?
A mainline Donkey Kong platformer.
Mainline Donkey Kong platformer, and that didn't even specify 2D versus 3D. It could have been either.
It could have been either, but it had to be a new game. It couldn't be a remake.
Yeah, no, I know. Obviously, it doesn't
or a
count.
port.
So Fantasy Critic is coding that entry as Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. So since that's going to 2025, it doesn't count, and I'm fucked.
It doesn't even. I guess there was no HD version of it, right?
Wait, did I miss that?
They did.
They're counting that. They're turning that mainline entry that you drafted into that Donkey Kong Country Returns.
I mean, that's what I saw on Discord. Yeah.
No. I'm sure that'll be corrected because this is just a port. Mm-hmm. And a game they already ported once before, because it was originally Wii and then it was ported to 3DS, and then
I mean, one way or the other, it doesn't matter because it's counterpicked.
It doesn't matter.
On Chris Davis's Fantasy Critic right now, it says this game will not release this year. Unannounced Donkey Kong platforming game.
Yeah, but why? They should not have done that, because obviously this is not a new mainline Donkey Kong game. That'll probably be debated, because people who in their leagues who drafted that as a granted, it did not get drafted in many leagues. Who shouldn't get a free drop from that, but whatever. Dragon Quest 3, this one was announced forever ago, Japan only even. But the HD 2D remake of Dragon Quest 3 is looking pretty good. I know we're not big Dragon Quest heads there, and they're also doing 1 and 2 remake. This looks nice. I mean, I like a HD 2D remake, but these are like the NES Dragon Quest games, which are pretty old.
It seems.
I mean, it looks nice, but I don't know how modern it's going to feel. Even though they are saying there's some.
I feel like it's for people who have a deep-rooted love for the series, who have been around and played the original.
I guess. It's a big deal, obviously, for Dragon Quest in Japan, especially, right?
Does anybody know why it's like you're supposed to play 3 and then play 1 and 2 after 3?
Story reasons. I mean, it's just story-wise that comes before 1 and 2.
I didn't know that.
Supposedly.
I thought they were all disconnected tales. Okay.
It is cool though. 3 is people in chat are saying 3 is a prequel. Okay. Very weird.
Let's see. New Dimperman game. You know, it's funny. David texted me. He's like, "Oh, did you see that Nintendo Direct? Aren't you so hyped?" And I'm like, "Yeah, for that new Dimperman game, you mean?" And David was like, "How did you? Damn, you know me so well," or whatever. I knew it would never be. It would be some bullshit like the Dimperman.
I forgot Dimperman existed.
Okay, I'd say the next big thing is probably shout out to the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting game collection, which includes, of course, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and all of those Marvel vs. Capcom games, Street Fighter vs. X-Men or whatever. That's a really cool collection, and that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is one of the most beloved fighting games of all time, and there's not many places where you can still acquire that.
Yeah.
So people were going crazy for that.
I just had a momentary I just had like a momentary like, oh my god, I just realized, fuck, I'm fucked moment, and then realized. So I was like, there's Deca Police didn't show up here, and then I was like, oh, but Tokyo Game Show probably makes more sense.
Yeah, I'm not worried too much about that. Level 5 ships games, these days.
Yeah, they do.
I guess the big thing is The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, which I was kind of hoping they would call it something else, right? The Legend of Link.
I think a lot of people were. I mean, I think everybody had that same thought, but also
first playable Zelda in a main.
But you know why I'm glad they didn't do that? You know why I'm glad they didn't do that? Because I feel like if they had done that, it would have set this precedent of like, if you're not playing as Link, it's not a Zelda game. And it's like, I feel like now they've kind of opened Pandora's box, and it's like, they've made a Legend of Zelda game where you play as Zelda, so now they can just kind of do that. Like, we've talked about this before. Like,
here's my question.
This isn't the first Zelda game that you can play as Zelda.
Well,
I know, I'm just saying, by not calling it The Legend of Link or something.
Yeah, but I mean,
You know
okay,
what I mean?
so you can kind of play as her a little bit, a version of her in like Spirit Tracks, and then there was the bad CDI games. But like,
There's also
this is like her
Cadence of
big
Hyrule.
Okay, this is her big debut in a Zelda game. I feel like, no, it is a good fucking video game, but of course, Nintendo was gonna treat Zelda better.
My only point is that it's
also
not a spin-off.
She was playable.
They're not
like,
classifying this as a spin-off by changing the name dramatically.
No. Also, you can play as her in those Tecmo Koei developed Hyrule Warriors games where she's like a fucking badass.
Yeah, but it's not a Zelda. That's not a fucking like mainline Zelda game.
I know. I'm here to say that like, it's a little sad that like the big debut of like playable Zelda is, such a gimmick game. Which, by the way, granted, the game looks great. I'm sure it's going to be great. Like, absolutely. Like, it's probably going to be a stunner. But like she's used powerful magic in various Zelda games before. She's there's even been cool versions of Zelda like Tetra and Sheik and stuff, right? Whatever.
She's always been a capable character. Yeah.
So like never fucking tables and chairs is it's giving Animal Crossing a little bit, which is fine because we know the puzzles are going to be.
I'm really actually kind of surprised you say that because when they revealed what like kind of the quote unquote gimmick is here with her moveset,
as a video game, it's cool. It's cool.
I was thinking that they were kind of like this was kind of them chasing kind of the magic of Tears of the Kingdom a little bit, but in a very different way, where it's like they're going for like the playground, where it's like they give you
open-ended.
They give you an ability that's very open-ended, and you can use it any number of ways, which is kind of what Breath of the Wild kind of dipped its toes into, and Tears of the Kingdom ran with.
None of this is to like speak to the quality of the game or the coolness of the ideas, but like I'm just saying. Like, there's nothing that badass about the first thing you do is summoning a table, right? I'm just saying, it ain't cool.
Shut up about the tables.
It's like, oh, hey, they literally say she can't use a fucking sword or whatever. She's gonna summon tables. So it's like, all right.
I mean, it's gonna be a meme. It's gonna be a meme.
The people who did not watch the trailer, the whole gimmick of her gameplay experience is that she goes around this world and she encounters items and she basically scans them and can create clones and copies of them. That includes like enemies too. And that's how combat is done, to where she basically summons an enemy clone and has them attack enemies for her.
That's part of combat. I mean, the way they show her, like, say, lifting up a rock and flinging a rock, I mean, you're throwing it the same way like Link would, right? And there was one point where she had like a cannon hat and she was just aiming that thing, blasting full. So, I mean, there is some more or less direct, like, she's fucking shit up. It's just,
I mean, let's be real.
It's definitely more puzzly.
If they had gone the opposite direction and just given her a sword, everyone would be like, she's just.
Well, I mean, I don't think they would have given her literally the same moveset, but I mean, yeah,
they're making bold moves, and
she has really cool magic in some of these games that she's in.
She does, and also like she was a fucking badass as Sheik in Ocarina of Time. Like, I don't understand how you wouldn't want to give her a costume that gives her the ability to absolutely fucking kick ass.
Whatever, but I mean, what's here is very neat looking. I think this game is going to be. It reminds me a lot of, like A Link Between Worlds and, the Link to the Link's Awakening remake is cool, but I mean, it is more or less just a remake. This seems much more modern with like new modern ideas, like A Link Between Worlds, which is really cool with like the going into the wall as a painting stuff. So I expect puzzle design to be pretty fucking cool here. But now that this is Grezzo developed, do we know that, or was Nick just kind of pulling that out of his ass?
I don't think that we've gotten official confirmation about this.
Okay. Well, we do know it's Grezzo.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't.
I'm curious because that is a studio that is not made. Oh, it's Nintendo EPD. Okay, so maybe it's not Grezzo. Which is, I mean, that's the thing, right? If it really is a developer that it doesn't have a history of making original Zelda games, it gets a little bit into that. Blue Point can do a damn good remake of Demon Souls, but do we trust them to make like a actual original Souls?
We're about to find out.
Level design on their own. I'm saying you trust Bluepoint, but that's the thing. They're completely unproven in terms of actual like game design, level design, combat design. You want to believe, but I'm saying they don't have doing visual remakes is not enough, right? And Grezzo was maybe in that position, but it sounds like maybe it's not Grezzo or not just Grezzo. I don't know. We don't know, but I'd be curious, right? Because I don't want to play a bad Zelda game. There was a time when Nintendo had Capcom develop a couple of Zelda games, and those were really awesome. And Namco's assisted with Zelda stuff in the past.
Grezzo did Triforce Heroes, says Fatal Frame in chat. So was that a bad thing?
It was a cool idea. It was a cool idea, at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
They wanted to follow up Four Swords somehow, so that was I guess Grezzo's logical extension of that. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to this.
I think we all are on some level.
This is going to be heavily guided, I'm sure.
Yeah, like we talked about in the trailer talk before the podcast recording. Like, to me, this is giving me like the vibes of the tool set they wanted to experiment with in Tears of the Kingdom, but with like Scribblenauts levels of possibilities for solving puzzles.
Scribblenauts levels. I mean, that's
not quite. Scribblenauts, you can literally do anything.
Freedom.
This you have limited options.
I see the Tears of the Kingdom stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Playful playground of possibilities for puzzle solving. Like
yet another game coming out in what is now being dubbed
Fucktimber.
Yeah. Specifically in the first week or two in the front half of September.
It's just going to get delayed.
Well, something's going to get delayed. Something has to get delayed.
Well, let's be real, Nick. You're still going to be playing Shadow of the Erd Tree in September. So
no, let's be real. I'm going to be playing Star Wars Outlaws at this point when all these other games.
Let's be real. He's going to be playing Destiny and some other old ass game.
Let's be real. I'm going to be playing Baldur's Gate 3.
No.
Let's be real. He's going to be watching Smallville.
Okay, I'm going to be watching something. It's not Smallville, though. It's going to be something else that I've probably watched 100 times, but I get your meaning.
24.
Well, that's all. That's my secret. I'm always watching Dexter. That's just endless loop.
That's just in the background. He's got it on the TV in the corner right now.
It is a background. It is a show that I watch in the background a lot.
I will to move things along. I am very excited about that Zelda game, and of course, it's going to be a hot bid pick,
a hot ticket item.
I'm sure. Yeah, hot ticket item for sure for Fantasy Critic. As is Mario Luigi, I'm sure. Lego Horizon Adventures.
We don't need to talk about this again.
We don't need to talk about it. I'm just saying
weird.
It's a little weird to see Horizon in a Nintendo Direct. Strange.
It's a family-friendly game.
I want to call out Ace Attorney Investigations because these are the Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney games that are kind of a little bit different in terms of like perspective. And they never actually officially localized the second game. It never came out here. And people who really go hard for the Ace Attorney series swear by these Edgeworth games. So it's cool that it's finally coming out. I love seeing stuff like that. Games that were never localized. I don't know why Mother 3 is not a thing. Crazy, absurd. I don't know. I don't get it.
Because there's one Nintendo executive out there that is just adamantly like, fuck the West.
There's a remake of Saga 2, which is strange. But it looks
like a lot of Nintendo Directs, there's a handful of like strange projects.
I don't think this stuff is. It's strange that.
It's nice.
It's the second to last thing. Saga is like a Dragon Quest or something. It's like from what I understand, pretty popular in Japan, even though it never really caught on here. Pretty nice looking remake. And I guess they ended with there's some other stuff in there. I know some people are excited about the 100 line. And they even made a new Phantom Brave game, which is pretty wild.
And a big Mario Party game. Don't forget Mario Party Jamboree.
Yeah,
we don't talk about that.
Don't forget Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
There's stuff. Yeah. Look, there's stuff. It is actually overall a pretty good Nintendo Direct. Let me tell you, even if Silksong wasn't there, pretty impressive. Honestly, in terms of quality of summer showcases, I feel like Xbox nailed it, and I feel like Nintendo nailed it. And really, it was Sony that kind of didn't have anything that was they didn't have enough of a lineup to kind of match up to these. But they ended with Prime 4. Finally, we get to see Metroid Prime. And Chris Aves, what do you want to say? Because I do got to kind of go off a little bit on this.
Okay, just really quick about the NSO games, the downloadable ports.
There's
going
some
on.
stuff.
There were a few things. There was like Metroid Zero Mission, and there was I think Link to the Past 4 Swords, which was kind of cool.
Zero Mission's a big one for sure. People
Definitely, yeah. But they announced 2 Nintendo 64 games, both of them M-rated. It was Turok and Perfect Dark.
There are better versions of those games out there. Don't get these.
I'm assuming that Turok game is just the Night Dive remaster.
No, it's not. It's the original game.
Not?
This is their virtual console. This is just the 64
that's right.
port.
I always forget that exists.
But no, this is the weird thing is that Turok is the original Nintendo 64 version, but Perfect Dark it looks to be the remaster they did for the 360.
For the Rare collection?
For the Rare collection. Because, like, you go back and you watch the footage, it's in 16:9. It's got cleaner textures. Like, it's weird. Like, remember how there was that whole kerfuffle over fucking GoldenEye? Microsoft basically finished a full remaster of GoldenEye, and Nintendo, because they own the license, wouldn't allow them to release it. So they spent years negotiating a deal, and what they came to was they would release just the Nintendo 64 version on both consoles, and the remaster would just go on a shelf, never to happen. Which ended up leaking, and anyone could play it.
64 ROMs. These are supposed to be 64 ROMs. I don't understand how it could be.
I mean, go look at that footage of Perfect Dark again, because that was running. It looked like you have very high frame rate, 16:9.
That's true. This was an expansion pack game. It was an expansion pack game. I think it supported that actually.
Also, real quick, I found it interesting that the M-rated Nintendo 64 games on the Switch are on their own separate app.
That's weird.
That
By the way, if anybody needs the ultimate cheat code for Turok, you know where to find me.
I think it's on a separate app because you have to have the enhanced bundle or the enhanced subscription or whatever.
Really?
To get those. Yeah, you have to have the more expensive tier to be able to play 64 games. Anyways, Metroid Prime 4, finally, this was announced with a title when the Switch was announced, right? Or shown for the first time. And then it was whoever was working on that originally, it kind of fell apart, and they rebooted development, and Rare stepped in to make Metroid Prime 4.
Not Rare, Retro.
That's what I meant. Retro. Who, of course, made the first 3 Metroid Prime games.
Wait, so are we saying...
The last one came out in 2007 for the Wii. Okay, it is now 2024. Almost 20 fucking years.
Question. So, because I don't remember, when they first announced Metroid Prime 4, are you saying that was not originally going to be developed by Rare or by Retro?
Correct.
Well, do we know who was developing it?
No, we don't. It stayed a mystery kind of for a long time. There's some rumors for a long time. Maybe it was like Namco or there's not a lot of info out there. But
now
they
it's being brought back.
They restarted development. That was the basically the second announcement for Metroid Prime 4 is when they came out and said, "Hey, this shit we're restarting development. It's going to be years," and it's been years. Fucking 17 years after the last Metroid Prime game, and.
It was 2021, I think they announced the rework.
Yeah.
Moving over to Retro.
So I'm very excited. There's two huge takeaways for me. One is I'm glad it's 2025 because this is a game I did not want to play on the current Switch hardware. Because it's 2025, it tells me that it's going to be a cross-gen game. Which this
is most definitely a launch title for the Switch 2, right? Like that would make the most sense.
100%. It doesn't make sense for it to be anything else. And I do not want to play this thing on any but a brand to make a new Switch 2 whatever, right? Because, Metroid Prime, when you first saw Metroid Prime on the GameCube, it was like, which was the last console that had parity with the other hardware that was out there from the other big 3. Metroid Prime was fucking gorgeous, man. And I just want a world where I can look at a Metroid Prime game and have it be gorgeous. And granted, it looked really nice for a Switch game in this trailer. But the second big takeaway was that I was super disappointed in the actual trailer. And I've kind of gone off on trailers before, but if you really look at it and break it down, they don't, like, you could have told someone who has no, like who's never seen Metroid Prime 2 or 3 and said this was like maybe like a remake of one of those, and they'd be like, that's fine, because there was nothing in this that didn't just look like some Metroid Prime 1 ass shit. Like you were just...
I was gonna say, there was nothing to like sell you on the game. There was nothing that's like, here's the exciting new stuff that's been added to Metroid.
Nothing. Yeah. The enemies, it was just your average fucking Metroid Prime, space fucking, space pirates. And, they even scanned a space pirate and said, hey, it's a space pirate. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's the same shit she's been fighting forever. She's just using her regular blaster. The combat, like, it just moves like Metroid Prime combat. They don't show anything to like even...
It was nostalgia
even suggest that there was, which might be fine, except they just released a remake of Metroid Prime 1. They didn't need nostalgia bait. What they needed is like, boom, we've been working on this for so many years. We rebooted it. It's back. How about show us some, first of all, the tone sucked. Like the music was a remix of the battle music from Metroid Prime, which is like probably the least good song in that game. There's so much good music in Metroid Prime. I don't want to hear a remix of the fucking battle theme, right? Like, this should have been very like atmospheric. It should have been a tone thing. They should have been showing environments and like visor stuff and droplets, reflections, like Metroid Prime. It's not just a fucking action game, right? It was like this wasn't a first-person shooter. It was a first-person adventure game, right?
Yeah, the trailer definitely gives vibes.
It was Metroid in 3D, and this was just like, fighting a bunch of fucking space pirates, and nothing new here, no new beams, no new anything. Even the environment was just very standard Metroid Prime environment.
We expect all these things. It's the trailer that just didn't do a good job of showing it. It's
exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a lot more in depth when the game comes out.
Absolutely.
The scope Nintendo... or like a gimmick or anything that is fresh
this
or new
trailer,
or different. It's been so long.
So King Carey in chat says this is more of a teaser compared to a trailer, which I do agree with, but at the same time, it feels more like a late game proof of life kind of thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that the entire idea behind the design of this trailer was that after 7 years of troubled development, let's prove to the world that this Metroid Prime sequel not only exists, but matches to the design of the previous 3 games.
But the content of this and the way it's revealed, and even that weak-ass logo and bad title, by the way.
Metroid Prime 4. Did they drop the 4, or is it just called Metroid Prime Beyond?
It's still 4. It's Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which is not a good title. I mean, like Echoes was good. Corruption was good. Beyond, that's a bad word, a bad title. Whatever. But this doesn't feel like a game that's gonna come out next March on a Switch 2. This feels like a game of like, look, man, we just barely got this shit up and running. I know we're not ready to show all the fancy new stuff. Like, is this even gonna be like a one seamless world, or is it going to be more like Metroid Prime 3 where you're going to different planets and stuff? Like, we have no idea. We know nothing. Like I said, this could have been shown as a remake of any of the other Metroid Prime games, and to a less trained eye, I guess they might not have even questioned it, because it just looked like this is the definition of Metroid Prime, and here you go.
To me, the most interesting part of the trailer is the very end, which is where the camera's doing like a slow pan, and you see like this big lush.
But that's where it needed to not stop and continue going.
It doesn't even look like a unique Metroid Prime environment, even though it was a nice like.
I mean, to me, Metroid is always been less about combat and more about just the exploration, like the actual quote unquote Metroidvania type exploration. You didn't get any of that in this trailer.
Metroid always has a lush green environment as one of your introductory areas. So
I mean, I'm not saying this was like an unprecedented thing. I'm just saying it was of the things that they showed, that was the more interesting aspect to me, and it was really just the splash screen where they had the date, like the year. You know what I mean? I wanted to see more of that, but it is what it is. I'm glad to. I'm glad
that was the tone of what a Metroid Prime should be. It was. The stuff they were showing could have been like fucking the phase on mines or something. Like when they were showing combat, it didn't look. you know, if you were trying to channel like an environment from Metroid Prime, do like some Phendrana Drifts kind of like, you know, really atmospheric, naturey, isolating stuff.
Next time we see this
here's
game,
the other thing. Here's the other thing. There was like a focus on like cutscene stuff and like a bad guy and like cutscene, like that just reminds me of like the worst parts of like the third game, right? Like those first two games were very like felt very isolating. It felt like it was just you in an alien world, and it was 3 when they started introducing, you know, or reintroducing all the hunters and stuff, and like characters were like talking and you were doing, you know, battles versus these hunters, and just the vibe. I didn't like that vibe for Metroid Prime. In this, they're like, I feel like they're hopping right back into that with this like bad guy protagonist, and it's just, you know, like the bad guys from other Metroid games feel very like alien or ethereal even, or just very mystical. Like this is just I'm a dude in a Metroid suit. Even like Dark Samus was like Dark Samus from like Echoes or from whatever,
Echoes?
or SAX. They're like creepy and weird and alien, and this is just I'm a dude. And then they started playing like some metal music or something on the guitar, or like some, I don't know. The tone was off, like almost in a way that it was off for like Dragon Age for me. And just super excited about this project. Obviously, when I'm playing a new Metroid Prime game, I ain't going to be complaining, but I'm big on trailers, and I'm big on reveals, and I'm big on re-reveals. And like, you know, that's when you're really supposed to like blow people away, because they've been waiting, you know? And I feel like, you know, if Astrobot can pull it off, you know, why can't we? Know Nintendo can throw trailers together, right? Like some of those like the Tears of the Kingdom trailers, and when they finally went off, they went hard, right? And I feel like Metroid deserved better than this. That's all.
I will say this. I think Metroid Prime 4 will eventually get its like Tears of the Kingdom trailer moment.
I think that.
But
you know,
coming.
After watching this, it feels like 2 years away.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a next spring game.
It does feel like it's beyond our reach.
Beyond. What a bad. That's like putting Origins or Rising or something in your title. Beyond Metroid. Like beyond what? Give us a line. Like if this really is going beyond, show us something that doesn't look like a Metroid Prime tech demo.
But like also Echoes and Corruption, like those aren't that much better.
I think Corruption's a good subtitle.
Whatever. I mean, those feel like things happening in a Metroid story or universe, right?
Other M, like.
Oh, that one sucked. I didn't say Other M was different.
Good. Yeah,
that's a spin-off. That's not a Metroid Prime.
I'm just talking about subtitles. I'm not even talking about the quality of the game.
This should have been Metroid Prime 4 Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying, if you take Echoes, Corruption, and Beyond, there is an obvious weak link here.
Beyond? Like, what's that even mean? That doesn't...
Beyond? Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Impressive, strong, impressive Nintendo Direct. Very exciting. The rest of 2024 has filled out rather nicely, and you know it's only June, so there's probably still going to be plenty of other stuff that comes up between now and the end of the year. It's getting crazy out there.
After the end of announcement season, now it feels really good to have a good perspective on the rest of the year. Because if you would have asked us a month ago, like what to expect from this fall, like there were some big things, but a lot of smaller things were really questionable.
You're putting on clown makeup right now, Chris Davis.
This happens every year. Yeah, they're like, oh, the start of this year is great, but I don't know if we're gonna have video games in the second half of this year.
I'm just saying,
this always happens. No one is gonna.
On this very podcast last week, Chris Davis said there's only like 3 games that he was interested, like really genuinely interested in playing, and
then E3 happened. Surprise!
And that is an insane thing to me.
Well, I'm still on 3 games right now.
That's just you, dude.
No, that's just me. Like, I'm in financial lockdown right now. I'm having to pick and choose what I can play.
Okay, well, there's a difference between...
I get it, but there's still lots of video games.
There's a difference between like wanting to like be choosy because you're trying to save money right now, and like not just genuinely not being interested in a buck ton of games that are coming out in the back half of 2024.
Yeah, I'm having to prioritize. So I'm saying
that's different. That's understandable. Okay, let's move on, shall we? Brad, thank you for leading us through the recap. I'm going to turn the table over to Nolan because you played a demo that you were clearly excited to talk about. It seems. Care to tell us about that?
Yeah, lots of demos in the Steam Next Fest. I've been checking out a couple, but this one really caught my eye. I know everyone here is fans of roguelike deck builders. And so
Brad's
You
I
guys
thought
steal
they
this
stopped
one
making
from me in
those.
Fantasy Critic, and it's gonna get a 92.
we'll see what happens. But I found another one that I was pretty interested in. I don't know if Chris Davis, do you have the footage of it?
It's ready. I'm just waiting for you to say the name.
Oh, it is called Dice and Fold.
Dice and Fold.
Yeah, and so it's a pretty unique zoomed-in game that you can see a very small fraction of it.
Yeah, I don't know why
footage.
it's doing that. Hang on one second.
Okay. I was about
Oh,
to say,
that's not
like,
what it's
yes.
supposed to look like. Okay.
No.
Gotcha.
So yeah, roguelike. The deck builder so far is fairly light in the demo. I don't know when that's going to come into play, like kind of going into it. It's not like a monster train where you build out a deck and then you go. This is more so you start with a character, an adventurer, if you will. You can be like the queen or like I don't remember all the starting characters, like a warrior, and they all have different skills. And so you're going through this dungeon, rolling dice, and then trying to defeat enemies. And so the way you can either defeat them is by they'll have a number on their card that's like 8, 9, whatever, and you need to put that dice equal to that amount on that slot to reduce their HP. There are some cases where enemies require an exact number of dice, a little bit of RNG in there. Sometimes they need a 1 and you don't have a 1, so you can't do anything to that card.
So I saw you just put a dice that had 4 on a block that said 1.
So yeah, if
And
the
it
block,
worked.
if it's
At
like
least
the
one,
if it's
sure.
like the number 1, not the symbol, that's fine. Because that just like think of it like HP. You're just trying to like knock that down. It's when it's the dice like symbol. So when it's the pips, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, gotcha.
Those ones need that exact number.
Gotcha.
And there are
okay.
some. It gets more complicated than that. There are some that are any. There are some that later on in the run will be more complicated. Like you need to have like doubles or triples. They get a little more complex. But then there's also different dice. So you'll have the regular white dice, you have blue dice, which when you use those on your character or on your companion, those count for anything. And so if you're looking at the footage, you can see I have the queen companion, and in her like slots in the bottom, it was 7 and then a 1 pip dice. And so if I complete both of those, I can use their ability. So in this case, because I'm the queen, her ability is I choose an enemy and I complete one of their dice requirements. It doesn't matter what it is. It becomes completed, which is very helpful. You can use that later on when like enemies have a lot of HP. You can potentially knock that out, but you have to make sure you need that 1 pip die to complete that requirement. Blue die, no matter what, will just complete that requirement. They're a little more rare to roll. And similarly, there's also red die that they can be used anywhere, but if you use them on your health, you gain that much health. That's kind of the basics of it, but you get into strategy, you get into like trying to do things. You can get similar to like a roguelike game, you'll find trinkets along the way that you can use. Some of them affect the way you roll die, some of them affect the way you can maybe regain health. I found one that I think at one point, like at the start of every battle, one random enemy, one of their die slots is completed, and I think I have that one in this run. All the companions, I don't know how many there are a whole lot, and they all have different abilities that do different things, and so you'll randomly find them. I think twice through a run you'll come across companion interactions, maybe 3 times, at least twice. This one I have right now, the cook, when I complete his skill, he will randomly create an item that is when used is what it's called. So when you're in the shop, you'll find when it's like, oh, when used, gained 4 health, or when used, do this. And so he just creates a random one. But I've had some that will heal you. I've had some that will silence enemies. So essentially it temporarily flips their card over so they can't attack you this round. That being said, you also cannot do damage to them that round. And because it is a die-based game, timing and order of operations are very important. So when you want to do stuff on certain enemies, or when you want to put certain die in certain places, and you can also get a little bit I don't want to say spammy, but there are certain times where it's like, oh, if you have an ability that lets you regain something, and you could kill all but one enemy and kind of try to force that to trigger. That being said, there are some skills that have almost like a cooldown, like you can only use this once per battle, and I think they've kind of realized that, hey, you can kind of take advantage of things a little bit. But as you've seen as well, I'm also getting coins and stuff as you defeat enemies. And on the right hand side, you can see that there's a list of all the die, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you complete that, you get a gold coin. So you can essentially sacrifice one of your dies that you would normally use to either attack an enemy or work on your skill sets to start that little set. Which is very handy because then you can just get more gold, which allows you to buy more things in shops. One of the enemies, or one of the players I had earlier in a different run, I think the king, whenever you use his ability, he reduces all of the I think it's a single. You get to. Yeah, I think it's all. I can't remember. But you get to reduce that die counter. So like right now, if you're looking at the enemy has like a 7 health or whatever, later on they're getting up into like 20, 30. Like they get to higher numbers, and he'll reduce that by the number of gold coins that you have. So you can like later on, you can get it to where you're knocking them down quite a bit. You get like abilities or items that it's like, oh, if you complete. Like if an enemy has like a 4 for their health remaining, I guess, in that slot, and you put a 4 die on there, you get that die back. So there's lots of little things where you can kind of mix and match abilities and skills.
Lots of layers.
Oh yeah, for sure. And also, that's the RNG of it. You'll get different skills and abilities on each run when you come into these shops and stuff. Hmm?
Is it like Is it like one large adventure where you're doing multiple
matches,
or is like every time you start the game, it's like a new run?
Sure. There is a single run. You can see on the left, I'm on stage 10 out of 36. Once you get to 36, you fight like the boss of this run. That's where the demo ends. So I've only ever fought one boss. You also unlock some things that are now permanently unlocked for the rest of the game, but those don't unlock in the demo. I think they've kind of locked down quite a bit. There's also a whole lot of different player characters you can choose from, and there's only a subset in the demo.
Right.
And then, like I said, you don't unlock those like trinkets and abilities and stuff. So there's a lot that's yet to be seen. So I'm not sure. Find out more when the game comes out.
It looks fun.
So first off, I do love the art style. I love the little characters and stuff. Mm-hmm. A lot of them have like kind of unique things. There's some enemies that when you defeat them, they turn into like a subversion of themselves. The final boss in the run is a what's it called? Oh my god, the serpent with the heads. Why am I
Hydra?
Thank you, a Hydra. I don't know. I don't know. I could not think of Hydra. It's a Hydra. So it's the main head, and then it has it's flanked by 4 smaller heads. And if you were to
succubus,
right. If you were to knock out one of those smaller heads, but not the main one, that small head will come back. So you're at like the pro con of, I could probably knock out one of these small heads. He won't damage me this round, but he's going to come back, I think, after like a turn.
And you're sacrificing basically your chance to do damage to the main head.
But that main head does not have like 10 HP. I think it's a random kind of number, but it's like, like 97, 111, and like 42. Like it's a decent chunk of health. You're not going to take him out in one run. And one of the other ones, I think the warrior, one of his special abilities is he adds another die to the pool. That's a gray die that you can put on yourself as armor. So you can tank more hits. So there's lots of little things that I think the demo is really scratching the surface of what this game is. Also, the music is really good.
When does this come out? Do we know, or is it...
I don't know if it has a release date. That is a good question that I probably should have looked up beforehand. I'm not sure off the top.
I mean, it is Steam Next Fest, so a lot of this stuff could be like next week, or it could be like a year away.
Yeah.
You never know.
I've played quite a few Next Fest games as well. Like, there's some cool stuff out there. I mean, there always is, but
Oh,
stuff
is
that
that
is coming out this
that-
year. So if
is
you're
that
looking for
accurate?
indies to like fill in gaps or whatever, like
June
try some
24th.
Ah, look at that!
Literally next
next
week.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So def
I
checking
recommend
out
checking out
the demo.
for the altars if you thought that was interesting from last week.
Altars.
Although is Next Fest over? Because some of the demos they stay up after Next Fest, some of them go away.
I think I opened up Steam earlier today and it still had the Steam Next Fest banner up, so
people
I think it's still going.
If you downloaded a demo, typically they won't be removed from your computer.
That's not true.
I mean,
some of them
that's why I said
They'll
typically.
switch to,
It depends on the demo. Yeah.
yeah, it just depends.
Which is strange because I feel like once somebody has access to your demo, I mean, I feel like that's probably at the discretion of the developer.
It just switches
right?
to purchase. Like I noticed that happens all the time when I download a bunch of demos. Some of them stay and some of them switch to purchase after Next Fest ends.
Yeah.
Cool. This is called Dice and Fold, right?
Dice and Fold.
Dice and Fold. Very cool. All right. I said I wasn't gonna. I said at the beginning of the show, I was like, let's try and do this in one
Nick, you
segment.
had to put me last.
I lied. We're gonna do 2 segments. We're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, Brad is gonna tell us about a little game called Dragon Age Inquisition. I believe,
More than
right?
that,
but
but yeah.
specifically the DLC, right? That was a DLC for Trespasser.
Trespasser.
And then Chris Davis, you have a scatter shot of a few quick impressions, right?
Yeah,
You
just some
wanted to
brief
mention?
stuff. Yeah.
And then we'll do Fancy Critic and we'll wrap up. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this quick break. Wonderful. Welcome back, everybody. Video games. We're here to talk about them. I'm going to hand it over to Brad to talk to us.
Hey, what's up? I've been playing a
about
lot
Dragon
of things,
Age.
a lot of stuff from that Next Fest, but I guess the one I wanted to bring to the podcast is Dragon Age Inquisition, the
Do we have footage of
Trespasser
this?
DLC. Yeah, I've got footage.
Okay. I didn't see any conversations in the Discord about
I wanted to show footage. I want to talk about it a little bit because
Sure,
it's a Dragon Age-y kind of time right now. Remember
That
this
is a
UI?
fact.
This is very like of this era. There was a lot of like Destiny ruined UI for a lot of.
I don't
franchises.
disagree with
Yes,
that.
it
As someone
did.
who's just started Destiny 2, I mean, I totally fucking agree.
Ugh. The UI.
The floaty cursor is just
This
just
wasn't
the
the
worst.
floaty cursor. Well, this is just like the big boxes with like the different colors of loot. It's just ugh. Anyways, so I've long heard that the Trespasser DLC for this is really good. Dragon Age Inquisition is a game I liked. I had a lot of like, Dragon Age Origins is my baby, right? And this is a series that has been like trying to, even though that game sold really well and people adored it, they like EA, BioWare has been like trying to escape its nerdy past or whatever, right?
I mean, is it just me or is Dragon Age a series that has never had like 2 games that are like?
I disagreed
alike?
with you on this last week, and I'll disagree with you again. That's true. We had this conversation, and I think there's a very natural evolution of what Dragon Age is in Origins when you play with a controller on a console. That's the thing. Or you can play it on PC. Now, some people played Origins very differently. They played it like an old school Baldur's Gate game. With that perspective, isometric, like you could play that game entirely isometric view, tactical game. You're pausing real time with pause. You're commanding your units. A lot of people, but this was also an era where Western RPGs were kind of blowing up on consoles, and Dragon Age Origins was a big game for 360, that kind of RPG. But like the perspective was very different. The camera was kind of down below you, and it wasn't really like. You kind of you could hit the button, but it was mostly just sort of like starting and auto attacking, but you were just kind of actually like aiming spells and stuff, but it felt very different. And I feel like Dragon Age was a natural evolution of playing Origins like that. And they continually made attempts to speed it up, but it was still at its core, when you do a fireball, it's going to freeze time and you're going to put that circle over where you want to throw that fireball, and then you're going to release. And it's still that. They just kept speeding it up, and they changed encounter design a little bit. But this is still a full like party RPG. Every single character has deep skill trees, you know, in these classes, and you can switch to any of these characters mid combat. Like it's still very different than like a Mass Effect kind of thing. And I really wanted to pop back into this to kind of remind myself how Inquisition played.
Did you pick up your? So I don't know how this DLC worked. Did you pick up your original character from when you first played this?
Yeah, absolutely. Because this is a post-game DLC, and honestly, after playing it, it's kind of like the real ending to Dragon Age Inquisition, and the story that completely sets up where they were going after this. For a long time, Dragon Age 4 was called Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Dreadwolf specifically referring to like the big twist at the end of Dragon Age Inquisition, which is where what the story that the DLC covers is that you find out that Solus is no.
I've never played it. I've never played it.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's already happening at the start of Dragon Age 4, which we've seen now. You find out that Solus, who's just a regular companion in Dragon Age Inquisition, is the Dreadwolf, which is like some ancient elven god, basically. And he's trying to unmake the world, or he's trying to pull down the veil. That's the whole premise. It's the whole setup for Veilguard, because he saved the world a long time ago by creating the veil that locked all these like evil ancient mage wannabe gods away, and that saved the world. And but he basically like it led to like basically not the destruction, but it basically destroyed the elven homeworld, and you know, like a lot of elves like ended up losing their powers and basically ended up in servitude. And he's basically realizing the error of his ways, and he's trying to undo what he did before, which is basically going to lead to the destruction of, you know, our human world, human and other thing world, basically the current world of Dragon Age. He's trying to, what he's doing would lead to the destruction of that. So his buddies from Inquisition and everybody else are saying, you know, you're like our homie. You could have even romanced him and stuff, but like you can't do this.
So
that's not
what
cool.
you're saying is,
so we're gonna have to stop you.
What you're saying is, I picked the wrong Dragon Age to skip.
No. Well, I mean, sure or whatever. You played through Dragon Age 2?
Yeah, I played through Dragon Age Origins and 2.
Yeah,
and I played about 10 hours
a lot of people
of
fell off this game. I feel like a lot of people fell off.
Well, I spent 10 hours in the hinterlands and was like, I can't keep going.
The crazy part about this DLC is it literally ends with Solus saying, "Oh, by the way, you know, I'm the Dreadwolf. If you didn't figure it out, and I'm gonna take down the veil and completely fuck up this world." And you're like, "You can't fucking do that. We're gonna fucking stop you." And it's like, "We're gonna find you and we're gonna stop you." And then credits roll. Real ending to Dragon Age Inquisition. And like the start of Dragon Age 4 is literally like, we found Solus. It could have been next week after this ended, but it was 10 years, right? Or whatever. And it's literally the start is, oh, we found Solus. He's trying to do the thing he said he was going to do 10 years ago. And here he is. And we're going to stop him now. You know, it's funny because it feels like it could have been the next day, which is fine. Whatever. It could have been the same day, really.
Well, I think that was mostly, they chose that because they wanted they wanted that connective tissue there. Because a lot of people who've been waiting for Dragon Age 4 for so long have been waiting specifically to see how the Solus thing plays out.
But see, if you listen to the devs for why they changed the title, is they said they want to change the title from Dreadwolf to Veilguard because they don't want the focus to be on Solus. They want it to be on the characters you play as, the team. And what I'm worried about is that there's been a pivot in terms of like Solus's importance to the story, and that there's going to be like some other big focus, which is fine, especially because they're going into the shit like right at the start of Dragon Age 4. I'm a little worried that it is actually just going to be kind of a minor part. And there's all this whole other story thing, which is fine. I mean, I don't know. It's fine. One of the things I found out, because I didn't have a romance option, at least I thought I didn't romance any of the playable companions in Dragon Age Inquisition, because the one that I tried to romance was like, nah, she kind of turned me down. So I'm like, I guess I don't really care. But in terms of like where the story thinks, the story has me was in a relationship with Harding, who was a scout, a dwarven scout. You didn't play as her in Inquisition, but she was like one of the main like characters at your castle or whatever, who would like, she would do stuff for you as part of the Inquisition. And that's the character I apparently romanced according to the story. I guess if you don't find a companion, that's the one you end up romancing. for canon reasons.
Uh-huh.
But she's one of the playable companions in Dragon Age 4. So I'm like, oh, I guess that's cool. That's my romance option. That's kind of neat.
Boom. Problem solved.
And the cool thing is
Interesting that there's dinosaurs in here.
And the original, it's cool that there's romance options carried over from the previous games. Like Leliana, she's in all 3 games. And I romanced her as my Grey Warden romanced her in the first Dragon Age.
Ah, yes.
So it's cool that she references that relationship, and I'm like, well, it's why I didn't romance her in Inquisition, because she was in a relationship with my Dragon Age Origins character. And I'm like, I can't break up that relationship. I carried that save data over, But anyways, it's nice to go back.
Jack in chat says, is Solus going to get Count Dooku'd?
I still have a lot of my... He might get Count Dooku'd, unfortunately. I'm worried about it. Because, I feel like even this is how it was with the Mass Effect games, right? It's like, and we talked a little bit about it last week, your attachment to like those characters and those relationships from the previous games, them carrying over, those relationships like changing and becoming deeper or like different, is one of like the hooks of a continuing storyline like this. So I like the idea of a companion character from the previous game becoming such a major character in terms of the story. So if they really do Dooku him, I'm going to be bummed out. Because it also happened to me going from books to games, because I've read 5 Dragon Age books, and not only did I play through the Trespasser DLC, I also started the one Dragon Age book that I had not read.
Oh man,
so
Brad's going deep.
Going all in. Age. Now, all that to say, I'm still very nervous about this new one coming out.
I think we all are to some extent.
Because it is. So the argument that I've seen people kind of falling back on, that's kind of giving people like, maybe things are going to be all right, is that, look, this ain't a party-based RPG anymore. Obviously, it's a much more of an action thing. You're only going to have 2 companions, and you're just going to be able to pull up their abilities with, the scroll wheels, and you're not going to they don't have full skill trees or whatever. But is what Mass Effect was, at least ultimately, and people still like Mass Effect. So the argument is well, if you still like Mass Effect, maybe you'll still like this too. And I'm like, that might be true, but also I expect Dragon Age to be a different thing, and I don't like that they're just trying to fall back on this other thing that they know fans really like in Mass Effect. So I don't want it to just
let the two things be different.
Let the 2 things be different, because Dragon Age Origins was a spiritual successor to the original Baldur's Gate. And let me tell you, Baldur's Gate, like Baldur's Gate 3, is a very different kind of thing, a very different vibe. But I mean, at least Baldur's Gate 3 exists and it's cool. So maybe it's okay that it is different, but
we live in a world where I think the mere existence of Baldur's Gate 3 is going to, in some ways, soften the blow a little bit if Dragon Age 4 really has gone
soften the
too
blow,
far
but
towards action.
There's maybe I talked about it last week. There's not a single critic on the planet, or maybe this is getting, I don't want to get into fantasy critic or whatever. There's not a single critic on the planet that is not going to be thinking about Baldur's Gate when they're reviewing this game. And there's a lot of things that Baldur's Gate did in terms of choice and narrative choice and role playing, and obviously the companions and all this good BioWare stuff, but just in terms of freedom, in terms of quest design, I'm just gonna burn down this door, right? Or I'm gonna find a way to use an ability to sneak in through the back. It was so there's a simulation there. You had so many options in terms of mechanics to kind of solve quests the way you want, and you had the freedom to, and the game would respond to the way you're doing it. I popped this shit back in, and it was that fucking scroll wheel, man, and there's just not much there. And Dragon Age 4 has the same one where it's do you want to pick this response where it says one thing but you're actually going to say something else, or this other thing, which is kind of similar, and maybe it's a little funnier, but you're still saying the same shit, and it just feels like it doesn't really matter. And then there's the investigate options on the left if you just want to talk to someone a little more. And that's so not where I think modern dialogue is, even outside of Baldur's Gate. It feels, I'm worried that Dragon Age 4 is going to be pretty, but also feel really dated and kind of simple. So I am,
comparatively speaking, yes.
I'm depending on the story being good and the companions being good, because I'm worried that it might be a fun action game. I don't know if I said it last week either, but I've been talking Dragon Age a lot in a lot of different places. There's some Discords that it's become a joke when Brad starts talking about Dragon Age. They just want me to go away. Yeah. Try to bring up Dragon Age in the Fantasy Critic Discord. No, everyone's going to be looking around for Brad. Shh, keep it down. Yeah. So I think it could become a fun action game, but like I'm saying, I don't want a new Kingdoms of Amalur, which is, if this is a good action RPG, it might feel more like a new Kingdoms of Amalur game than a Dragon Age game. But, some people, that will absolutely be satisfying for them.
Sure.
But you know what? This Trespasser DLC, if you still have Inquisition and you just kind of want to like get back into the Dragon Age mood and don't necessarily want to read a book, this is I feel like this is essential viewing. If you've played Inquisition and you are going to play Dragon Age 4 and you have not,
as someone who has not played
it's a
Inquisition
must-play.
and has every intention of playing Dragon Age 4, I feel like I should find time to play Inquisition.
You're not going to play through Inquisition. You're just not. It's a huge bloated game. It really is. It's just you're gonna need to find a nice YouTube video, dude.
But I wanna.
I mean, this was from the time in which BioWare was being forced to put out a lot of bloatware. Like, remember what happened with Mass Effect Andromeda? Remember what happened with fucking Anthem?
So that was where, and this is why I'm a little worried about Dragon Age 4, right? Just because don't let anyone tell you that like something like Baldur's Gate just existing won't affect the reviews, because that absolutely happened with Dragon Age. A few months after Inquisition came out, this got good reviews. After a few months after it came out, The Witcher 3 came out, and all of a sudden, this game became a laughing stock. Like the side quest design of just like picking up random shit and turning in bullshit. Like people started making fun of this shit. And Andromeda was basically the Mass Effect take on Dragon Age Inquisition. And when that came out, everyone was like, dude, we're not cool with this anymore. Our standards have been raised by The Witcher and other stuff. And like this design, we were trying to tell y'all back then that this isn't cool anymore when Witcher 3 dropped, and y'all made the same kind of open world bloated thing with Mass Effect where like this kind of the
at some point you got to imagine they were probably far enough along in development on Andromeda that it was maybe too late to put the
you're right but I'm saying the difference is this game scored in like the mid to high 80s and Andromeda's like low 70s, and like in terms of actual like design, they're really not all that different. So like standards change. I mean, we talked about it with like Dragon's Dogma, right? The people changed, not the game, and it shot up 15 fucking points. So
I mean, one thing's for certain: when Dragon Age, the Veilguard, is it the Veilguard or Veilguard, whatever?
The Veilguard, unfortunately.
When Dragon Age the Veilguard releases, it's going to be fascinating to see
I will
what
be
transpires.
Playing it and shouting from the rooftops about it, of course. I'm still very excited.
I'm going to play it too.
But I'm nervous. I want them to show the game in a way that's going to make me happy because, again, I was a little disappointed with the reveal, but there's been stuff out there. Like
there's
RPG
a Game
Site
Informer
did an
cover
interview
article out now, isn't it?
RPG Site did an interview with them where they kind of broke down like, look, man, the skill system is it's really deep. We got a big skill tree. It's inspired by stuff like Final Fantasy X, but also the license board from Final Fantasy 12, which is like, it was nice to
both
hear.
Of those things.
It was nice to hear, but then I see stuff like, oh, this is a mission-based game. And you know what I don't want to hear in my Dragon Age game? It being called mission-based. That reminds me of like Mass Effect 3, which is fine for like a spacefaring game where you're touching down on a planet. Even then, I kind of didn't like how fleeting some of the trips to some of those planets felt. But like, again, that felt like a game that should have missions. Like a fantasy RPG feels like is about exploring nature. I want to exist in a world. I don't want to go on missions and go back. And more details came out like today where you're going to be in like kind of inside the Fade and kind of like a hub, and you're going to be traveling to different places via the Eruvian mirrors.
It's like Destiny.
And to do missions. And like, that's a word that I don't want in my fantasy game. Get that gross word out of here. Missions. Call them quests or something. How dare you call them missions? We know it's going to be much more linear, and it's not going to have any of that open world stuff from Inquisition. It is going to go back to, it's probably going to be very Mass Effect, because even like Origins, it was like KOTOR. You go to like you don't go to planets, but in KOTOR you go to a planet and you're in a space, man. You're like talking to people. There might be a local town. You're going to go out into that world a little bit, but you sort of inhabited that space for a while. While like Mass Effect 3, touch down on a planet, watch some cutscenes, fucking
shoot some bitches,
shoot some way down some corridors, some more cutscenes, and then you're fucking out of there. And I don't want that for Dragon Age. I do not. Anyways, I'm going to shut up now. Thank you. I got to talk about my Dragon Age. Thank you. I'm done.
No. It was great revisiting Inquisition a little bit before 4. Okay, I want to turn it over to Chris Davis real quick. You said you had 3 quick mentions.
They're quick mentions. Yeah, they're.
I only say that because we got some fancy Critic to talk about. It's going to be interesting. What are these 3 games? Are these like full blown games? Are these demos you've been playing? What's going on?
One is a DLC, 2 are games. The obvious one, the DLC is the Night Springs DLC for Alan Wake 2.
That's why you asked me, and I was like
a quick mention. But
I mean,
yeah, what the fuck?
I mean, it's a quick mention because it's actually very quick content. Like you can blow through all that content in 2 hours.
I did download it. I did
2
install
hours,
it.
and you play as 3 different characters.
Yeah, it's 3 different episodes. Each can maybe be done in 30-45 minutes. Like it's really quick. Like they're all standalone quote unquote stories that are told from certain characters' perspectives.
I mean, which is not totally surprising considering it's a free DLC for.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's only free if you got the deluxe edition.
Yeah, which I did. I forgot I did. Like I went to look into it.
As did I. I also pre-ordered the deluxe edition physical.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna wait on that. I'm not a fan of the idea of paying $80 for that at a year and a half after launch. Anyway, no, it's good content. Like I said, it's short. The problem is that there's 0 challenge in this content.
Which is surprising because that game could get pretty challenging at times.
Yes, it can. This game is not
challenging. It wasn't a gameplay first kind of game, right? It was an experience-y kind of game.
No, dude, that game is Alan Wake 2 is heavy on the gameplay.
Yeah. No,
that game got hard.
You're not there for combat. You're there for that experience.
I'm there for both. Dude, I'm there for both. Alan Wake 2 combat's fantastic.
So what is
it as good as Alone in the Darks?
Shut the fuck up.
Brad, please, for the love of God, either play Alone in the Dark or shut the fuck up about it. Now, what is one of the central tenet pillars of survival horror game design? It's ammo management and resource management and knowing when to pick and choose your battles. This game,
what I was gonna say.
This DLC content gives you the fully upgraded weapons with all the ammo in the fucking world. You get more ammo in one of these episodes, in all 3 of these episodes, than you get through the entire fucking rest of Alan Wake 2.
So this is more of just a combat. These are like funny alternate scenarios with like several of the key characters or the side characters, right?
Well, I mean,
is there at least like clever writing and like stuff going on there? Or?
I mean, kinda like they're.
Do I need to play this or not play this?
Wait, you're saying the writing and stuff isn't clever? I mean, this is Alan Wake.
I mean, but it sounds like a combat gauntlet, which I'm not really interested in.
I mean, it's just a fucking power fantasy within Alan Wake 2, in which you're just mowing down waves upon waves of enemies to complete a very small story. Here's the thing: is that the story there are 3 individual unique stories set within the content of Night Springs, which is basically the Twilight Zone. So you get these familiar characters in familiar environments, but the storyline for them is completely disconnected from Alan Wake and the rest of the franchise.
Oh, but is it fun? Like, is the story fun? The characters fun? Because you play as Rose and stuff, right?
Yeah, you play as Rose, and she's living out this fantasy of being in love with Alan Wake, and so she's going to go rescue him, who's been trapped by his evil twin brother in the woods.
But are you saying when I called this a mercenaries mode and Nick was like, how dare you? Maybe I was more spot on.
This is not a mercenaries mode. This is literally you go point A to point B with all the fucking power and ammo in the world, and you complete a very small story.
I mean, that sounds like a mercenaries mode.
I feel like I'm not, I don't want to be that guy, and I know I'm not like
but you're gonna
remedy pilled like y'all, but I feel like sometimes their DLC, like I heard the Control DLC was kind of whatever, and
No, the Control DLC was pretty
good.
significant. In fact,
Yeah.
the Control DLC is what kind of gave us our first look at Alan Wake 2 in the first place.
Yes.
And that was really cool. That was a really cool way of doing that. Like, I think the way those two universes are kind of linked intrinsically now is actually really neat. And that was all part of the Control DLC.
That Control DLC for focused on Alan Wake was basically a full-on epilogue to the original game.
Here's the thing. I fully intend to play this Night Springs DLC, but I also don't... when I go back to Alan Wake 2, I'm going back with the intention of playing through the final draft.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is a much bigger endeavor than Night Springs.
But
I didn't install it, so...
The final draft for what they do with the narrative is kind of, in my opinion, transformative of the original game. Like, it makes the game so much better.
That's kind of what I hear. Is that the
New Game Plus? What are y'all talking about?
It's a New Game Plus, but it has like a additional story content and I guess a new ending, a different ending.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The true ending.
Yeah. So what are the other two games?
One of the other ones was I started playing before I put it down for a little bit because I found this third game. I started playing Indivisible.
Indivisible. Oh, is that that really colorful like side scroll? Is it
the Valkyrie profile, like indie Valkyrie profile?
Oh yeah.
Had this nice art style to it. You played as one character who
it's from those
controls
Skull
multiple
Girls,
characters. Yeah, the Skulls developers.
developer.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, came out in 2017. It was a while back. I don't know. It's fun. I like what they're doing with it. I love the art style. The Metroidvania the Metroidvania aspects really haven't hit just yet from where I'm at. I'm only 6 or 7 hours in. So I'm still getting my sea legs with it. It was kind of cool to see Michael Dorn show up as the primary antagonist.
Who's Michael Dorn?
He's Worf in Star Trek.
You would, yeah.
Yeah. I would. I don't know that nerd shit.
You're not a Star Trek guy.
He has a very distinct voice, so like I immediately caught it. I don't know. It's fun. I'm liking it. I just wish that my third game that came around wasn't probably 100 hours long, which is Rise of the Ronin.
The game that I lent you.
Yeah,
So-
I borrowed it from
the
Nick.
third game.
Huh?
Yeah,
I feel like this is.
Well, I was out of town for the weekend, and he came over to help feed my cats, and I was like, he's like,
you
can
don't
I
have to
borrow
play
it? I
that
was
for
like,
100 hours. How much Rise of the Ronin have you played?
About 20 hours now.
Holy
wow.
fat shit!
Do you know you're supposed to parry the red stuff?
Shut up, Brett.
Yes, I figured that out.
It's only because I made the mistake first.
My problem is that I've played 20 hours of it, and I just finished chapter 1. So I'm like, oh, fuck.
I didn't expect to get... So were you clearing out areas?
100% I was, yeah.
See, I was doing that too, and I never do that shit. And I was like, there's something this game is doing right. Now, it's not like brilliant design, let me tell you. It's not. And it can be very repetitive. But there's so little friction to doing anything in that game that I just got like, I might as well clear out this area. I'm just going to keep going.
The traversal's really fun. The glider makes it really interesting to...
And there's 2 more maps that are bigger than that first.
Okay, well, I just got to Edo, so I just got proper access to the second map. So that's why I'm worried about saying it's a 100-hour game to me.
Because I feel like there's no way I would keep that pace going to all those different areas. I think I'm eventually just gonna. So can I ask you? Because I feel like in that first act, it's very easy to go, well, I would never be pro shogunate, right? Like all of these people who are anti shogunate, these seem like my homies.
Same here.
There is no reason I would ever be pro shogunate, and then you get to act 2, and you're like, oh damn. Maybe I am pro shogunate, which is cool, which is unexpected that I'm invested in characters in a Team Ninja game. Because let me tell you, I have never been invested in characters in a Team Ninja game. These are the people that ruined Samus.
Yeah. I mean, like I was worried about playing this game because I had such a bad reaction to Wolong, and like Neo, that original alpha demo really put a bad taste in my mouth about it. So I'd been kind of worried about modern Team Ninja for a while. That's why I wanted to borrow the game from Nick rather than spend all the money. But I am really enjoying myself with this.
Would you like to buy it from me?
Nick,
you've got
to
play
this game. Points? Does he get your points if he buys your game? Are the points tied to your copy of the game? Chris Davis can officially start earning points, or anybody can just buy Japanese games from you and start earning points.
Yes, that's exactly how that should work.
If they reach 10 points before you do, it locks you in as a racist. but the twist is they have to buy your copies of those Japanese games you don't want to play.
Oh man, I'm sure the community would get in on that.
Well, I feel almost like Nick should lose points for selling a Japanese game.
Do it, Nolan. Buy his copy of Unicorn Overlord. It's really good. You get 5 points for that.
I don't own Unicorn Overlord.
Damn you, Nick.
You should own. Everyone should own Unicorn Overlord. That's a great game. No, Rise of the Ronin. I'm really having fun with it. I was not expecting a deep story. With the amount of player freedom to explore 2 different factions, how you can swap in and out between the different storylines, and then when you get the ability to actually go back and change the timeline, like that's cool. Really fucking interesting.
These are all things I didn't know existed.
Oh cool. Yeah, there's a ton of things.
I talked about these things, Nick. Or maybe when I first talked about Rise of the Ronin, so they don't unlock the going back to like make different timeline decisions until you get to Act 2, and maybe I wasn't in Act 2 yet.
Yeah, that's the case. Yeah.
It's cool. And plus, and it's not nearly as Zlayden chat says games are too difficult for me. Rise of the Ronin, not only does it have difficulty settings, but even on the default difficulty, nowhere near as difficult as the Neo games.
That's my thing, is that like I have had plenty of instances in which I have had to restart an encounter, but it's immediately at that encounter, so it's not nearly Souls-like in the challenge there. Also, like it's very lenient, I feel, in the combat. Like it gives you a lot of signs where you can figure out your patterns.
Although the boss fight at the end of Act 1 is horseshit.
Yeah, that second phase kind of comes out of nowhere. Yeah, that was
weeds, guys.
Yeah,
it was a little rough.
I don't know. He keeps these games secret, and then he's like, "Oh, by the way,
that's funny."
I thought he was going to talk about 3 random demos from the next fest or whatever. I mean,
I'm surprised that
so we just have to guess.
I'm surprised I didn't see Rise of the Ronin coming, considering I lent him the game.
Yeah, you did. Like I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like I wanted something to play aside in the same time that y'all playing Erdtree. So.
Gotcha. Erdtree. We need to talk about that. When I was on the Trespasser DLC and he was talking about DLC, the thing I kept saying is, or the thing I was going to say is that I almost never go back to play DLC. Usually it could be a game I love, but once I put that game down and I'm kind of moving on to other things, it's hard for me to go back to a game just to play some DLC.
It's hard for me to do that as well.
Erdtree is significant, but I've never played all the way through a From Software DLC. I mean, there's games I adore. I still have not played through Blood and Wine. So even playing through Trespasser is a big deal for me. I've always told myself I wanted to do that, but it wasn't till the excitement.
Are you going to play Erdtree?
I don't know. I did check to make sure I didn't have a New Game Plus character save that ruined my new game save. So I do have a character that was good to go. He's like level 171.
Let me tell you.
I saw an article today or a tweet saying that someone was stuck on a boss far longer than like Romania and stuff.
I saw that too.
I knew this shit was going to happen, and that's not the shit.
I am wondering what level he was at when he got to that point. But anyways, that's not here nor there. If anybody,
terrifies me.
Let me just tell you, I was out of town for the weekend, came back Sunday, and I had Sunday afternoon, and I had checked a few weeks ago. I was in Elden Ring in a New Game Plus right after getting through the the castle, I forgot what it's called, the first castle area. So I was kind of I was right there at the edge of the lake. No. I'm there. I'm ready. I'm in.
You played all the way through Moog?
Robin literally sat there and walked me through, and I was at Moog, fighting Moog, and I beat Moog.
So did you do a bunch of grinding in his area?
No, I'm level 170, dude. I'm
What
good
the
to go.
fuck? That's what level
Dude,
I am.
I played 120 hours of Elden Ring.
No,
Like,
but there's that area. Like when you get into the area where Moog is, there's that farm area where you can get levels like.
Oh
really
yeah, no,
fast.
there's great places to farm, but like you have to get there's a shortcut to getting to the point where you can access
Erd
Tree.
I mean, there's all kinds of shortcuts.
But
there's Radon as well, but
you don't. I didn't. I did not beat Radon. There is yes. I did it all on Sunday with Robin sitting right next to me because she is on her 5th playthrough of the game right now.
But they said you have to beat Radon for the DLC.
Exactly. There is a secret shortcut path that you can take to get to the point where you can fight
Wait, is
Moog.
the DLC out?
No, it's out on Friday.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, she walked me through the entire process. It's like the super, like talking to certain dudes, and then you have to invade 3 people's games and win, and then you go through all this junk, and then you get a secret item, and then you have to go to the fucking the 4 belfries and take a specific portal that takes you. It's
So did you not do Moog in your original playthrough?
No, I did.
I mean, he's optional. You don't have to.
No, I did. I did Moog the original playthrough, but I had started a New Game Plus, not knowing what it was going to do. But yeah, I went through all the steps, and I had saved right there in front of.
That's a lot of Elden Ring. How many hours have you been playing, or you just? Did
she literally ran me through that section or through that little quest that I needed to do to take the shortcut. Did not fight Radon. I had to fight Moog. That was a bit of a bitch, and I had to summon people to help me do it. But that guy's a bitch anyways.
Yeah.
And it took me about 8 or 9 tries to actually beat him. But I
8 or 9 tries of hiding behind shit while other people killed him.
No.
So, like, when you leveled up, when you killed Moog, like, how many levels did you get? My God.
About like, 4. 4.
Oh, well, that's not that much. I just don't understand how you went from level whatever to 170 so quick.
I was at 160 when I booted up the game on Sunday. I don't remember. I mean, that's just.
Huh? You said you had just done the first Legacy dungeon, I thought. When the New Game Plus save you were on, you said it was after the castle, which was the first Legacy dungeon. You wouldn't have been 100 something.
Don't ask me the specifics. I'm just saying.
You're 171, but you're New Game Plus. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That might not actually be that high for New Game Plus.
I want to say I finished my New Game Plus run at like level 210, 220, something like that.
Okay.
But I've seen a couple people talking about Erd Tree and saying if you're at level like 120, you're probably good to go.
But who's played it? No one's played it.
I'm talking about there's people who are playing it, who aren't reviewing it, who can't review.
I didn't really look at
reviews, but people are asking questions.
Super good scores, right? Anybody watch any of those reviews or read any reviews? Why are the scores are the scores super good because it's Elden Ring, or are the scores super good because the DLC is actually like?
I mean, the little bit that I've read, and I did read a review. I forgot what site it was on, because I'm guessing they posted it before the embargo was up or something. But the review that I read today was very positive in terms of it just being like, I mean,
it's getting 10s and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the review even said they had a couple complaints and they still gave it like a 10. You know what I mean?
But because it's Elden Ring?
Because
I don't want to be stuck on a boss for like 3 days, which is...
I mean, that might just be very... I don't know.
That's why I don't play From Software DLC.
I don't know.
All I hear is about bosses. By the way, you finished 9 Souls along with Prince. All I've heard, all I know about that game is hard bosses. That's all. That's the only narrative. That's the only.
Right. Let me tell you, I finished 9 Souls, and I
tell me about one cool area or one cool ability.
I knocked the difficulty down to easy mode or story mode in the final boss because I was not prepared to sit there for another 5 hours fighting this boss. Let me tell you, that final boss is hard. It still took me about an hour of attempting to beat that boss on easy mode. That boss is a bitch. But yeah, I mean, the story in that game continues to be great all the way through to the end, and level design is great. It's got all the good Metroidvania hooks. It's just some of those bosses are nightmare fuel.
Okay.
So
Hollow Knight was a little bit like that. Hollow Knight had some nasty fucking bosses.
Yep, I still remember. What's the name of the final boss of Hollow Knight? Like
the Radiance.
Yeah, the Radiance. The Radiance
that
was
a
like
tough fucking boss fight.
Yeah,
I
would
didn't
say
go through all of the DLC because I heard it was just like Elden Ring DLC. It was bosses that made Radiance seem like a joke, and I'm like, that's the same reason I don't play from DLC. I don't want that from Hollow Knight. I want to go through cool areas.
Yeah, he's dying. Okay, all right, let's move on. We've gotten. We need to talk Fantasy Critic because we haven't done that in a while. Sorry, you're choking.
Speaking of Fantasy Critic, I hate so much that I forgot to put the fucking trailer and the footage from the Yacht Club Presents because they showed Mina the Hollower, and holy shit, Nolan, you especially, it looks so fucking good. So good. Go watch the new Mina the Hollower footage trailer. There's a trailer and some footage they showed.
There's a butt coming.
It's looking so good.
But it's not this year.
So the update was very much a, don't worry, we're still working on it. You know, the coming months we're gonna be polishing it and like cleaning it up. But like it was very much a to be patient with us.
Proof of life.
And they didn't even have a date. It just said coming soon. There's 0% chance it ships this year. And I'm definitely going to be using my super drop on it, unfortunately.
I mean, honestly, Mina felt like an afterthought compared to the rest of the presentation because it was 95% about
Yacht Club Presents, which they don't do very often, was announced and positioned as a 10th anniversary special for Shovel Knight, where they did announce new Shovel Knight stuff, including Shovel Knight DX, which you can play as like 20 different characters. It was a Shovel Knight thing, but they did do a good amount of like a good 5 minutes of that was on Mina, and it looked fucking rad. I still think obviously it's not going to be a dub for me this year, but I will absolutely be trying to draft it next year because I think it looks incredible. I think if it came out the same year as Silksong, which it might next year,
which now
I
that
think
I think
Silksong
about it,
should be afraid because Mina looks so fucking good.
I'm gonna have to go look this up because I really don't know much about it at all.
You wouldn't. You've probably seen screenshots.
I mean, but I also didn't really care for Shovel Knight, so
I mean, that's the big thing, right? That was the one. Yeah, but whatever. This is more Zelda.
I mean, what Shovel Knight did for 8-bit side scrollers, like Mina looks to be doing for Game Boy Color games.
Yeah, it does look like
specifically Zelda.
Link's Awakening. It looks like Link's Awakening on the Game Boy Color.
Imagine Link's Awakening where you didn't have to go into your menu to put on your Rock's Feather every time you wanted to jump, and actually like have a game with brilliant movement. Because look at some footage, it looks crazy, and the variety, it just looks insane. Anyways, the reason it's Fantasy Critic worthy is because that was the one thing that was counterpicked on my list. By fucking Carlos. He sniped me again, man. I thought I could get away with that. I thought no one would really care about Mina because, when that game drops, it's going to score well, I promise. By the way, he did it. He just said that ain't coming out, and he was right. So now I'm going to have to like buy the super drop. So we have to buy it and use it before the end of June.
Mm-hmm.
Once you do that, you just get with your league manager and they can do it right away. The super drop is the one thing you don't have to wait till the end of the week for. So if you're trying to free up space to like bid on some other shit, just get with your league manager. They do it, but it costs $40. Oh, and we need to clarify because there's still some confusion.
And again, we're speaking directly to people who are in our community who are playing Fantasy Critic this year.
Speaking everything, and maybe someone can clip this out so we can post it in the Fantasy Critic channel later for anyone not watching. So it's $40, and you have to buy it and use it before the end of June. And you can drop anything on your list, even your counter picks. Now, the thing with counter picks is we don't allow mid-year counter picks. And when you drop that counter pick, that space is going to be empty. The league actually defaults that to like a -15, I believe. We very early on, we talked about changing that to a -7. And basically what it's doing is, so the idea is to free up a really bad counter pick, but it basically replaces it with like a 77, which is actually pretty not bad for a counter pick. The reason we did that is because you weren't able to pick up any more counter picks, and we didn't want. If everyone could just get rid of all their negative points, then everyone would be. We wanted it to be like a tough choice. Like, oh, do I want to drop my counter pick, or do I want to drop this game that came out that maybe got like a 78 and maybe I can do better, that sort of thing. And I still think we found a good balance to where that is still compelling, right? Like, I'm not dropping one of my counter picks, even though one of them's not out. I'm dropping a game that is going to be a no ship with Mina the Hollower, right? So you can drop anything. Just know that when you drop a regular game, you can replace it with something that might do well. Counter pick, you're basically replacing with the 77. Which is still good because some people are, like last year, the people who were towards the bottom are the ones who got fucked really hard on counter picks. It's
but
tough.
Real quick, just to clarify, because the way you just said it, again, I think is where the source of some of the confusion comes from. You said you can drop anything, even counter picks, but you still cannot drop something that was counter picked by somebody else.
A super drop.
That's what I mean. You can with a super drop?
You could drop anything with the super drop.
Yes.
So Chris Davis could buy a super drop and drop Metroid Prime 4, even though it's counter.
Yes, but he only has one, so he can't drop.
See, that's
Donkey
what I'm
Kong,
saying. We were having this conversation in Discord earlier, and you kept saying it over and over again, and that is the exact opposite of what I thought you were trying to say.
It's hard. It's hard to like specify if I'm talking about a game that was counterpicked from another person or my counterpick on someone else.
I mean, I kept framing it. I was like, I know all this stuff. I know you can drop counterpicks. I'm specifically asking if somebody has counterpicked one of my games, can I super drop that game? And
yes,
I thought the answer was no.
Even if the game is out and has review scores, you can still drop it. But you have to buy it for $40, and you have to do it before the end of June.
Okay, I know all that. I mean,
okay. And then the -7 thing, which is probably going to have to be like adjusted at the end of the year by the league manager, or it's going to have to be something that, I mean, obviously anybody who drops a counter pick is going to have that spot empty for the rest of the year. So we'll know how to adjust the scores at the end of the year. But if anybody has any questions, you could ask me. But that's kind of the long and short of it. It can be done anytime. It's going to cost you $40. You got to be done by the end of the month. You can super drop anything, but a counter pick is a penalty.
Okay.
The one other thing is, and I want to be clear, if Carlos counterpicked my Mina the Hollower, right? And I'm going to super drop it. It's going to open up that spot for me but his counterpick remains, which means if Mina the Hollower does come out in like December and scores like a fucking 89, he still loses 19 points, even though it's not on my list anymore. His
damn.
Yeah. So I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, in theory, someone could still, Mina the Hollower could get announced for this year. It becomes biddable again. And let me tell you, it'd be a good pickup if it gets a date. But I ain't playing with it. I mean, based on what I know now, I'm happy to super drop it. I think there's no way it comes out this year.
Okay, so what's up, Chris Davis?
Can I get clarification on the super drop then, as far as counterpicks go? If I chose to drop a game on my list that I counterpicked, like, for example, I counterpicked Stellar Blade. If I chose to use a super drop on that also means that slot would free up, but I would not be required to do another counterpick?
You can't do another counterpick.
Yeah. It would just convert that.
Because we don't allow mid-year counterpicks.
Yeah, it would convert that negative 18. It would convert that negative like 18 or whatever points it was that you have now to
12.
a -7. Is it 12?
Yeah, so
I can remember what it was.
That's the thing, right? Is like is the counterpick worth 4 points to you, right? So like it's kind of, the thing is you have stuff that's probably more valuable on your main list than your counterpicks. I mean, it's hard, right? Like the idea was for it to be difficult. The thing is, you also have no rest for the wicked, which kind of fucks you.
I'm fucked. So
you're in bad shape, Chris Davis. I'm going to be real. I don't think you're winning this. I think you're fighting to not be last place.
See, here's the thing: if we follow the rules of Fantasy Critic, in which the loser has to play the worst game on their list, like I don't have any bad games on my list, so.
Well, if none of your games come out, are any of them bad? I mean, let's be real.
I still haven't played Redfall from last year. Wait, I didn't lose last year, did I?
You didn't lose last year. Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Oh man,
he played.
I thought I caught myself in a.
No, it was Carlos, and he played something bad. I don't know.
I'll look it up real quick.
Okay,
but he's in good shape this year. You know what? Because he's confirmed now. It's confirmed. He got 2 zeros for his counterpicks because he countered Mina and he countered Donkey Kong, so he's in good shape. He just got to make sure that he gets some good stuff because he still has a lot of money too, which means he probably doesn't need to buy the Super Drop.
He had to play. He had to play Exoprimal. That's what it was.
That's right.
That's right. Exoprimal.
That's
my counterpick that made me points last year. Damn it! I need another one of those. Let's hope Space Marine's bad.
Okay, we need to get to the 4-player minute. So in the interest of moving along here, Fantasy Critic wise, there's not a lot to update as far as like there's a couple things. Carlos did pick up a game because the game Conscript, which is that World War I based survival horror game, which I'm actually very excited for, got a release date of July 19th or something like that. So he bid on that. That is on Carlos's list. And other than that, I imagine next week will be pretty heavy as far as updates go because of the.
I don't think anyone's going to let Mario and Zelda slide.
Yeah, that ain't flying.
I got to be honest with you. I put in $1 bids. Obviously, I'm not going to get those games, but I ain't going to let y'all wait on them, motherfuckers. You bet you're going to spend
I don't think anybody was
going
to either.
No waiting weeks for these games.
It's going to be interesting. Next week we'll have a lot of updates in terms. We'll see where they land on people's lists next week.
There was other stuff in the Nintendo Direct that looked pretty tasty, to be honest.
Absolutely.
So one thing about this year is there's plenty of shit out there to fill up y'all's lists. I don't think anyone needs to worry about it. So
yeah. So we'll return and talk more about Fantasy Critic next week. But now, in the interest of wrapping this show up, let's go ahead and do our 4-player minute. So I'm going to hand it over to Brad to start us off.
I got a 4-player minute, and it's something that it's something that maybe is okay. Let me explain.
Words.
Y'all know how I feel about voice acting, right? I hate when a company like Nintendo that can certainly afford voice acting doesn't do a lot of voice acting, especially has become an issue, because I like to play games with Henry and he's just starting to read and he's not great at it, but like the new Paper Mario's out and he'd probably really like that because he likes Mario, but he can't read any of that shit. And it's just, come on, Nintendo. Anyways, I'm 60 plus 5+ hours into Ayuden Chronicles, 100 Heroes. And y'all know I've been enjoying that game. And that's a game that's fully voice acted, not just fully voice acted, but like Suikoden, you recruit a bunch of characters. And in this game, you instead of 108, you can recruit up to 120 characters. Here, and my 4-player minute is about this, not just a shout out, because I talked a little bit about it on the past, where you bring characters into like story sequences, and some of the characters that are completely optional, that are not main story characters, will occasionally have voiced lines to chime in, and I was so impressed by that. Well, I unlocked the theater mode, and the theater mode is this little mini game tied to a side optional character. You recruit that character, he opens up theater back at your town, and you unlock plays. You buy them, you get them from different places. You unlock plays for this theater, and they're little short plays. I have a couple of them. I think there's 5 total in the game. And I did a little math here because here's what's crazy. Between these 5 plays, there are 28 parts. 28 parts between all the plays, because each play has a few parts that you get to choose, which means, and each one of those parts can be played by any of the recruitable 120 characters, and all of the lines are fully voiced. So between these 5 plays, there are 3,360 recorded parts for these plays. Now, the plays might just be like a few lines per character, but you can have any combination. The narrator, so like one of them's Little Red Riding Hood. Any one of those 120 characters could play the wolf, could play the grandma, could play the narrator for the play, any combination of 120 characters. So they recorded 3,360 voiced parts for this tiny little optional mode. Now, if you were to sit down and like probably watch all 5 plays, it would probably take half an hour. If you were to just pick, 5 characters or whatever for each play and watch it, and like, that's kind of funny. But the fact that they recorded over 3,000 parts for this little side optional mode tied to an optional character is crazy, because each of the characters, they have different performances. Some of these characters in your army, they're not good actors. So they'll their performance will be like really bad and awkward, like they don't want to be there. And some people are like overacting. Some people are like throwing in ad-lib lines. So there's unique writing and performances for certain characters. And like you're seeing so much personality from like different combinations of like setting up these plays. Like in Little Red Riding Hood, for example, I have a character who's like an old lady, but she has a power. She's like a kung fu fighter. She can transform into a young, powerful kung fu fighter lady in battle. It's like her battle mechanic. She can transform. You put her in the role of the wolf in the Red Riding Hood play, she even transforms into her young version of herself when she's the wolf. While when she's the granny, the fake wolf, she's the granny version of the character. They went all out, recorded so many lines for this tiny little mode, and it's a tiny little Kickstarter JRPG, and it's so impressive. And most people, they don't give a shit. They're probably not even gonna see it. Maybe they'll watch these plays once if they even find all 5 plays. But the fact that they went so all out for the voice acting and unique writing and these performances, it's hilarious. It's so funny. Especially because that recruitable character that runs the playhouse, he even gives little blurbs on like how they are as actors. And he'll be like, oh, this character, sometimes I feel like he adds in a little bit of his modern flair in some of these plays, or like this dude's like totally going to overact, or like this young lady, she's actually pretty good at playing both male and female roles. Like there's these little blurbs on all 120 characters, and it's such a brilliant little thing.
Above and beyond.
And such a cool game, but like, a game that's janky and old in some ways, but like this mode, it blows me away. It blows me away that they went so all out. And it's funny and charming and absolutely, absolutely wonderful. And I know I was a little long, but shout out to that mode. I feel like no one else is going to do that. I posted about it on Reset Era because I was so blown away, and everyone's like, yeah, it's cool, but no one, I feel like this thing was made for me, and it's wonderful. So yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to know there are things out there that feel like they're made for you.
Yeah.
And only you.
And then, so fuck you, Nintendo. Fuck you.
There we go. That right. That's the cusp of it all. Is fuck you, Nintendo. All right. Chris Davis, you're up.
Okay. All right. Honestly, like the Nintendo Direct was kind of going to be my 4-player minute. But yeah, we already went through that, so not much to really bring up.
Well, you thought we weren't going to recap the whole thing?
Yeah, it was
You're nuts.
Well, I thought we would just hit like the big 3 and not even like go into the rest of it.
You listened to our podcast before?
No, I don't listen to our podcast because fuck that shit.
You listen to it every week. You're listening to it right now.
I experience the podcast. I don't need to relive it. So, actually, no, that's a fucking lie. I listen to my stuff sometimes. No, I don't know. I don't have that much this week. Like, I'm going through my sweat really is Rise of the Ronin. Man, I was enjoying myself playing this game. I got to the Edo map and I was like, okay, they're locking me into this. Maybe I'm near like the end game. Like maybe I'm near like maybe the halfway point at the maximum, but like maybe I'm really close. Like maybe I'm done in this game. I can move on to the next thing, get back to
Bitch, you crazy. What are you?
And then I complete this really hard boss fight, and the trophy pops up. Completed chapter 1. Are you fucking kidding me? Video game? What?
Yeah.
That just
what.
And then when Brad just said that like there was a third map too, like I was like, oh motherfucker, this is a 100-hour game. I'm not even certain
to video games,
credits,
dude.
Not 100 hours. I mean, if you do the math, you finish one of the maps at 20 hours. It's a 60-hour game. You're fine.
Yeah, but Edo looks bigger, and I imagine like the third map is probably even bigger than that. And I'm like,
I feel like there's no way you're not going to get burned out on the open world 100%ing by the end of that game. You'll be fine.
I guess, yeah.
It is a game, though. I want to say
the only person that's going to make it a 100-hour game is you.
Like you look at user reviews for this game and just like user impressions, everyone critical. I feel like it's easy for this game to score the way it did, given that it's like, come on, this is just a checklist game. It's not doing anything new. But like people who play this game, there's like fans of this game, which is crazy. It's also their fastest selling. I think Team Ninja's like fastest selling game ever, or something.
I think it's like
that.
their best selling game since Ninja Gaiden Black.
But yeah, still.
I mean, even that didn't sell that well compared to the original Ninja Gaiden. So yeah, it's been a very long time since they've had like a mega multi-million hit. So I don't know. I'm really enjoying this game. Nick, I'm sorry, but it may be a while before I get it back to you. Although, like, you're going to have your plate full.
Let me tell you.
I don't think Nick's clamoring.
Let me tell you, I'm not clamoring. I am so overwhelmed. But it's also, that's a hell of my own making, too, because there's a lot of things that I want to be playing right now that aren't even current games, and I'm kind of giving myself time to indulge those desires as well. So, yeah. Take all the time you need.
I really would encourage you to take the weekend or like just a couple hours this weekend to finish the Night Springs content. Because like it's fun content, but it's remarkably short. Like you will blaze through that stuff and have a good time.
That right there is the best argument you could have possibly made for me actually playing it this weekend, is that it's remarkably short.
And again, you need zero context for the rest of Alan Wake 2 and 1 for this game.
Okay. I mean, not that I don't already have that. I do love me some Alan Wake.
Me too. Yeah, absolutely. But cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Short and sweet.
Very nice. Nolan?
Yeah, my 4-player minute starts now. Definitely hyped for Nintendo. Mainly just, what we saw of Zelda. That game looks like it's going to be fun. I know it's not going to be, the most intense, but it's definitely going to be enjoyable. We'll see what happens in Fantasy Critic. My sweat, I have one this week. Man, I really like Metal Gear Solid 3. It is one of my favorite in the franchise.
You gonna indulge?
In the collector's edition is what I'm talking about, because it's fucking sold out everywhere. I can't get it. Every time it gets posted online, it's like immediately sold out. And that I really fucking like that diorama of Naked Snake under the tree as soon as he drops in.
The full-on terrarium, yeah.
Yeah, like it literally is a terrarium. And it has like his little satchel thing hanging from the fucking tree. It's fucking.
Do you have any like alert set up for it, or
a couple? But like it's never in time.
I mean, it hasn't gotten a date yet, so I feel like when it finally does get a date, maybe they'll do another round of.
We'll see.
Collector's editions.
I got it. I did.
Man, you dirty bitch.
Yeah.
I just I'm a
if you were a real friend.
No, I'm the same way.
Weren't you like
I know, that's why he's penny pinching now.
Yeah. What the fuck?
He spent all of his fucking money on one game. This is the fourth release of the game officially.
Snake Eater Subsistence HD Remaster and Master Collection,
and Master Collection. So this will be the Well, this will be the fifth then, the Delta.
The fifth.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I own it.
What is this
4 times
called?
already.
I'm trying to find it.
Metal Gear Solid Delta Collector's Edition.
Yeah, Collector's Edition.
Mm-hmm.
I'll find it. I'll link it to you.
I'm sure you'll have other opportunities. I don't think that edition is.
Yeah, I know. And it's just one of those things where I've kind of told myself I'm not buying collector's editions anymore, but this is a different story.
Sometimes one comes along where it's just like, okay, this is the exception.
Yeah. And then
I thought about the Alan Wake 2 thing, but I was, because it has the lamp thing, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna resist. But I know what you mean. I sympathize.
I don't think the collector's edition for Alan Wake 2 comes with the game. Like, does it?
It's weird.
Also, those are the worst. Those are the worst fucking things.
Yeah.
Honestly, Nolan, though, I feel like this is one that I would wait to see, like, the quality control.
That is true too. That is a good point, Brad, because they always show the nice model, and then people start getting them shipped, and they look like dog shit. That does happen from time to time.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe then I'll get into painting minis, and I'll just repaint them. But then, so the other thing, I kind of briefly brought it up a while back. You know, in the past couple of years, I've gotten a little bit back into Pokemon. I gave it up for a long time. But it really started with in Prince, if he's still around, is where when the DLC, the Blueberry Academy DLC for Scarlet Violet, they released essentially every starter Pokemon that's been in any game was available in that. And so I started shiny hunting them, and I got a shiny living dex of all of the starter Pokemon from every game. That's 81, by the way, because it's one of each. So it means I had to catch them 3 times over. And I was like, man, that's pretty good. What if I were to just keep going with a shiny living dex? And it's a fucking insane concept, and anybody who is familiar with it knows it's fucking insane. But I started doing that because I'm fucking stupid, and I don't know. I'm a little over 35% of the way.
Wait, what percentage?
35.
35%.
I mean, Nick, there's over 1,000 Pokemon.
I know. I mean, that's a lot. 35%. You just said it's insane, and you're already 35%.
Well, I didn't start it yesterday. I started
over 350 Pokemon.
I started it months ago. And so I don't know why, and I don't know how long until I give up on it. And that being said, I mean, there are definitely some Pokemon that it's like literally like Victini that's never had a shiny released. So obviously that you can't get it. And there's some that have been like dumb, like, oh, they only released them via like a download thing in like one place. So obviously I know I'm not going to get every single one. But we'll see how far I go along with it. I'm still going as of now. So I'm getting one here and there. But yeah,
cool.
Being dumb.
Well, good luck and Godspeed on that.
Thank you.
All right. So I guess for mine, I will say I was going to talk a little about Destiny just because I Crispy got me excited about the prospect of trying Destiny 2 last week, and I didn't realize at the time that I had forgotten that you can just download if you have PlayStation Plus, you can just download the base game, which has the first 2 expansions already kind of attached to it. So I was like, why not? There's nothing stopping me. I'll download it and I'll play it. So I streamed that last night and got through basically spent the entire time getting through the tutorial session, which was fun. It was a lot of fun. And it's one of those things where I intend to play a little bit more and see where we go, because I would love to get to the point where I can play through the final shape, because it sounds really exciting. And I do like Bungie games, and I feel like it's been so long since I've really played an honest to God Bungie game. In fact, I guess that would be Halo 3 was maybe the last Bungie game that I played. So I'm gonna kind of keep going 3. With that. Yeah, I'm gonna keep kind of going. Right. I mean, I played the demo or alpha beta or whatever for Destiny 1 a little bit. I mean, what else have they done? I mean, after Halo 3. Oh, sorry. I guess Halo ODST.
Bungie. Never mind.
Yeah, whatever. It was an old Halo game.
I thought they did Reach too.
Okay, maybe it was. I don't remember the timeline for when everything
Reach
released.
and ODST were Bungie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess Halo Reach would technically be the last Bungie game that I played, but still, either way, it's been a very long time. So having a good time with that. I played a little bit last night. Crispy popped into my fucking game and found me last night, so he was flying around on his cool little Silver Surfer board, and making me jealous,
and doing kickflips.
Yeah, doing kickflips. It was cool. I had a lot of fun last night, so I'm gonna keep going with that and see if I can. I mean, it's not one of those things where I'm gonna be playing it constantly. It's just I'm gonna be kind of creeping through it. But I had a good time. But I guess the thing I really wanted my sweat right now is after this Nintendo Direct, I realized just how fucked I am in September when there's just an absolute onslaught of games that I really, really, really want to play. And there's nothing, like, I'm talking Star Wars Outlaws comes out at the very end of August, and that's my most anticipated game of the year. So I'm obviously going to be playing a shit ton of that. And then starting on September 6th or 5th, maybe, we get Stalker 2, which is maybe my second most anticipated game of the year, followed by Astrobot, followed by Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Now we have this new Zelda game dropping right in the middle of all that. It's just insanity. And I'm sure at least one of those might slip a little bit. I don't know. I hope so, because that's just unsustainable. But I decided I have the vacation time. I'm gonna take that whole week off. I'm just gonna take the week off, and I'm just gonna play video games. I'm gonna be bouncing between all these fucking things. I'm gonna be playing a bunch of Astrobot. It's gonna be great. I'm both sweating that and just really excited at the prospect of having all these just sweet, exciting games at my fingertips for a week. So that's kind of exciting.
Man, I was looking at the Wikipedia page for the 2024 releases. Echoes of Wisdom comes out September 26th. The day before that.
No. Echoes of Wisdom comes out on September 6th, I think.
I mean, then Wikipedia needs to update. But I was going to say, like, if that's true, then one of the low-key, like, probably going to be garbage remakes, no offense, but, like, the remake of Lollipop Chainsaw comes up the day before. So that is like going to sell 12 copies.
Is it the 26th? Okay, if it is in fact the 26th, that helps me dramatically, because I thought it was the 6th, which would be right in the middle of that week. But that week is already chaos. So if it's the 26th,
ain't no
that's
one
fantastic.
care about how you're planning out all your too much gaming time, Nick. Stop it.
Hey, this is my 4-player, man. You fuck off.
I know, but you're like,
I'm only gonna be able to play 14 games, and I want to play 15.
Sweating. I'm sweating balls because I'm still trying to play catch up from 2023.
Look, as long as you don't play Baldur's Gate, you'll be able to get through all these games. If you play Baldur's Gate, you're not going to be able to play any more games for the rest of the year.
I'm going to play fucking Baldur's Gate 3. In fact, I might play some this weekend.
You might as well just throw that new Zelda game in the trash if you start Baldur's Gate 3. That's just those are how choices work.
Oh, real quick, the clarification about the Alan Wake 2 collector's edition thing, it does come with the game. I read was that it does come with Alan Wake Remastered, but as a download code.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was about to say, because there should the concept of a collector's edition that doesn't include the actual game, I can't even believe that's the thing that exists, but it does.
It's happening way too fucking often.
It's happening way too frequently. But anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for our show tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening out there in the world. You can, of course, find us on all of our shows, all of our episodes on 4playernetwork.com. But more importantly, you can join us in our Discord at discord.gg/4player. We'd love to have you in there. Stop in, say hello, introduce yourself in the introductions channel. Let us know what you're playing. We'd love to hear from you guys. Yeah. I don't know. It's been a crazy
Don't forget
week.
the 360 Marketplace shuts down at the end of July.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, what Brad said. We'll see you guys next Tuesday for another episode. In the meantime, guys, be good to each other, play video games, and good night.
Bye.
Bye.